My name is Natalie Bennett. I'm 24 years old. 6 years ago, I sat in the financial aid office at UCLA while the admissions officer, Mrs. Patricia Morrison, asked me a simple question. Your parents have been contributing to a 529 college savings plan for you since you were born. That's 18 years of contributions. The account should have at least $180,000. Why does it show a balance of $847? I stared at her, confused. There must be a mistake. My parents said the fund had about $15,000. That's why I need so much financial aid. Mrs. Morrison's expression shifted from professional to concerned. She'd been reviewing financial aid applications for 23 years. She knew when something didn't add up. Natalie, let me show you what I'm seeing. She turned her monitor toward me. According to the 529 plan administrator, this account received regular contributions of $400 to $600 monthly from 1998 to 2015. Your parents never missed a payment. That's $95,000 in contributions alone, not counting compound growth and investment returns. With average market returns, this account should be worth at least $180,000. She scrolled down. Then, in July 2015, there was a single withdrawal of $187,000, the entire balance. The memo line says, qualified educational expense. But you were still in high school. What educational expense could have been that large? My hands went numb. What educational expense? She showed me the screen. The withdrawal was authorized by both my parents. The funds were transferred to an account at a plastic surgery center in Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills Aesthetic Surgery Center, to be exact. My brain went into overdrive, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Then it hit me like a physical blow. Miss Bennett, Mrs. Morrison said carefully, this doesn't appear to be for your education. Do you know what this was for? July 2015. I remembered that summer vividly now. Vanessa turning 21, the week she spent staying with a friend in LA, coming home with bandages, saying she'd had a minor procedure for a deviated septum. The way Mom and Dad had been so attentive to her recovery, so secretive about the details. It wasn't a deviated septum. It was a complete cosmetic overhaul. My sister, I whispered. They spent it on my sister's plastic surgery. Mrs. Morrison's jaw tightened. She'd seen many things in her career, but this clearly bothered her. I need you to walk me through exactly what happened, she said, pulling out a notepad. This is important. But what my parents didn't know was that Mrs. Morrison wasn't just an admissions officer. She was the head of financial aid fraud investigation. And taking money from a 529 plan for non-educational purposes was tax fraud. She was legally required to report it. Before I tell you what happened when the IRS agent showed up at my parents' house asking about the fraudulent withdrawal, please like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? I love connecting with all of you. Now, let me take you back to where this pattern of favoring Vanessa over me really began. Growing up in Orange County, California, I learned early that my sister's beauty was the family's most valuable asset, and my achievements were just pleasant background noise. My family. Dad, a successful orthodontist who made about $300,000 a year. Mom, who'd been a model in the 80s and ran a boutique. My sister Vanessa, 3 years older, beautiful and aware of it from birth. And me, the smart one, the plain one. The one who didn't need the same investment because I could succeed on my own. Vanessa got enhancement. I got encouragement to work harder. When I was 12, I won a regional science competition. I was so proud. First place out of 200 students, scholarship to a summer STEM program. Dad glanced at the trophy. That's nice, Natalie. Good job. That same week, Vanessa got braces. Not because her teeth were crooked, they were already perfect, but because Dad wanted them even more perfect for her modeling portfolio. He spent $8,000 on cosmetic orthodontics for already straight teeth. My science trophy went in my room, never mentioned again. I told myself it was fine. Vanessa needed to look perfect for her modeling. I just needed to be smart. At 15, I qualified for a competitive academic summer program at Stanford. Full scholarship for the program, but I needed $2,000 for housing and supplies. "We can't afford that right now," Mom said. "Money is tight." That same month, Vanessa wanted professional headshots for her modeling portfolio. They spent $3,500 on a photographer, makeup artist, and wardrobe. "Vanessa's modeling could be lucrative," Dad explained. "It's an investment in her future. Your academic stuff is nice, but it doesn't generate income." I didn't go to Stanford. Vanessa got her headshots. But throughout all of this, my parents insisted they were saving for my college. They showed me statements occasionally, a 529 plan in my name, growing steadily. "We've been contributing since you were born," Dad said proudly. "You'll have about $150,000 to $180,000 by the time you're 18. Full ride to a good UC school." That money was my security, my future. The proof that even though they invested more in Vanessa's appearance, they still cared about my education. I worked hard in school. Perfect grades, AP classes, leadership positions. I got accepted to UCLA, UC Berkeley, and several private schools. UCLA was my dream. Great academics, beautiful campus, strong reputation. I was thrilled. Then came the financial aid meeting in March of my senior year. My parents and I sat with the financial aid counselor to discuss the package. "With your family's income, you don't qualify for need-based aid," the counselor explained. "But you have a 529 plan with, let me see, approximately $180,000 based on the initial information. That should cover most of your costs." My parents exchanged a look. "Actually," Dad said slowly, "the 529 has much less than that. About $15,000. The counselor frowned. "That's not what our records show. The account was opened in 1998 and has received consistent contributions. It should be substantial." "There must be a mistake," Mom said quickly. "We haven't contributed much over the years, just here and there." The counselor pulled up records. "According to the 529 administrator, there have been monthly contributions for 17 years. The account should have—" She stopped, staring at her screen. "There was a large withdrawal in July 2015, $187,000. My stomach dropped. "What withdrawal?" "For educational expenses, according to the memo. What did you use it for?" My parents looked panicked. Dad said, We had to. There were unexpected costs." "What costs? I haven't even started college yet." "Natalie, don't make a scene," Mom hissed. "We'll discuss this at home." We left without resolving anything. I got a partial scholarship to UCLA, but would need about $25,000 per year in loans without the 529 money. At home, I demanded answers. "Where did my college fund go?" Dad sighed. "Your sister needed some procedures, medical procedures. We had to use the 529 funds." "What medical procedures cost $187,000? "It's complicated, Natalie. You wouldn't understand." But I did understand. July 2015, Vanessa's 21st birthday. The month she came home with a new nose, new breasts, and a new figure. "You spent my college fund on Vanessa's plastic surgery." Mom's face flushed. "They were necessary procedures. Vanessa's modeling career depends on her appearance. We were investing in her future earning potential." "That money was for my education." "And you'll still get an education," Dad said firmly. "You'll take out loans like most students. You're smart enough to succeed without the fund. Vanessa needed the investment more." I was shaking. You stole from me. We didn't steal. We made a family decision about resource allocation. You're being dramatic. I went to UCLA that fall with $25,000 in loans. I worked 2 jobs. I watched my sister post Instagram photos of her modeling gigs while I ate ramen in my dorm. But freshman year, during financial aid verification, Mrs. Patricia Morrison called me into her office. Natalie, I need to ask you some questions about your 529 plan. I explained everything: the withdrawals, the plastic surgery, how my parents spent my college fund on my sister's appearance. Mrs. Morrison's expression darkened. Did you authorize that withdrawal? No, I was 17. I didn't even know about it until I applied for aid. And the funds were used for cosmetic surgery, not education? Yes. She was quiet for a long moment. Natalie, I need to tell you something. I'm not just an admissions officer. I'm also the head of financial aid fraud investigation. What your parents did was potentially illegal. My heart raced. What do you mean? 529 plans have very specific tax advantages. You can only withdraw funds for qualified educational expenses without penalties. Cosmetic surgery isn't educational. By withdrawing that money and claiming it was for education, your parents committed tax fraud. They owe taxes and penalties on that $187,000, roughly 10% penalty plus their income tax rate. Probably $60,000 to $70,000 they should have paid to the IRS. What happens now? I'm required to report suspected fraud. The IRS will investigate. If they find wrongdoing, your parents will face consequences. I should have felt guilty, but I just felt tired. Do what you need to do. Mrs. Morrison filed her report. The IRS investigation took 8 months. During that time, my parents called me repeatedly, their voices alternating between anger and desperation. How could you let them investigate us? We're your parents. I didn't let them do anything. Mrs. Morrison is required by law to report fraud. You committed fraud. We didn't commit fraud. We used the money for family purposes. You used my college fund for Vanessa's cosmetic surgery and told the IRS it was an educational expense. That's literally the definition of fraud. The IRS audit was thorough. They requested receipts, medical records, bank statements. They interviewed the plastic surgeon. They cross-referenced the 529 withdrawal with the surgery center's payment records. The findings were damning. Not only had my parents withdrawn the money for non-educational purposes, they'd also failed to report the withdrawal as taxable income. They'd treated it as if it were legitimately for education, which meant they'd evaded taxes on the entire amount. The IRS calculated what they owed. The 10% early withdrawal penalty, $18,700, plus income taxes on the full amount at their tax bracket, $56,100. Total, $74,800. With interest and late fees, $81,340. My parents had 30 days to pay. They were furious. They blamed me for tattling, even though I hadn't initiated the investigation. But Mrs. Morrison wasn't done. She helped me apply for a special emergency aid consideration based on family financial fraud affecting students' ability to pay. UCLA reviewed my case and awarded me a needs-based grant covering most of my remaining costs. Your parents' income is no longer considered in your aid package, Mrs. Morrison explained. Since they stole your designated college funds, you're being treated as financially independent. The university is covering what your 529 should have covered. She also connected me with a lawyer named Richard Huang, who specialized in family financial disputes. He reviewed my case and said I had strong grounds for a civil lawsuit. Your parents had a fiduciary duty to use that 529 for your education, Richard explained. While technically they can withdraw 529 funds, doing so for a sibling's cosmetic surgery when you're about to start college is a clear breach of trust. We can argue for damages based on what the fund would have been worth when you graduated. The lawsuit was filed in civil court. We weren't asking for the $187,000 they'd withdrawn. That ship had sailed. But we calculated what my $529 would have grown to by the time I graduated had they left it alone. Approximately $215,000 based on average market returns over 4 years. We asked for the difference between what I actually had, $847, and what I should have had, $215,000, minus what I'd already paid using loans and work, $140,000. The lawsuit took 2 years of depositions, document discovery, and negotiations. My parents' lawyer tried to argue they had the right to use the funds however they saw fit. Our lawyer countered with the 529 plan documentation, showing the account was specifically designated for my education. We had emails from my father to his own parents saying, "We're saving for Natalie's college." We had statements they'd shown me over the years, promising the money would be there. The judge's ruling was clear. While parents have legal authority to withdraw 529 funds, they have a moral and fiduciary obligation to use them for the designated beneficiary's education. Using these funds for a sibling's non-essential cosmetic procedures while the beneficiary is preparing for college represents a breach of fiduciary duty. But my grandmother, my dad's mother, called me privately. "I gave your parents $50,000 when you were born specifically for your college fund," she said. "They promised it would go into your 529. Are you telling me they spent it on Vanessa's cosmetic surgery?" "Yes, Grandma. I'm changing my will. They get nothing. You get everything." The civil case concluded in my favor. The judge ruled that while my parents had legal right to withdraw the 529 funds, they had a fiduciary duty to use them for my education as intended. Taking them for my sister's non-essential cosmetic procedures was a breach of that duty. They were ordered to pay me $140,000, the amount my 529 would have had when I graduated, minus what I'd already spent on loans, plus my legal fees of $18,000. Total judgment, $158,000. They didn't have liquid assets to cover it. They'd already drained their savings to pay the IRS. So they sold their vacation condo in Palm Springs, the one they'd bought as an investment 2 years before raiding my college fund. It sold for $290,000. After paying off the mortgage and my settlement, they had about $75,000 left. My mother called me crying. "You took our retirement security. You took our vacation home. How could you do this to your own parents? You took my education fund. You took my future security. I'm just getting back what was always mine." During those 2 years of litigation, my relationship with my family completely fractured. My parents stopped speaking to me except through lawyers. Vanessa wrote me a long email calling me a vindictive, jealous person who was punishing them for trying to help both daughters. "They gave me confidence through those procedures," she wrote. "I was depressed about my appearance. They were being good parents. You're just jealous because you were never pretty enough to need help." I didn't respond. What could I say to someone who genuinely believed that her cosmetic insecurities justified stealing her sister's college fund? I graduated UCLA debt-free. My parents didn't attend the ceremony. That was 2 years ago. I'm 24 now, working at a biotech startup making good money. I paid off the small loans I'd taken before the settlement. I have savings. I'm financially stable. I even bought a small condo last year, my own place, paid for with money I earned and money that was rightfully mine. My parents have tried to reconcile multiple times. They send cards on my birthday. They email occasionally. Last Thanksgiving, my dad sent a long message. "We made mistakes, but we're still your parents. Family should forgive. Life is too short to hold grudges. We love you and miss you." But here's what they still don't acknowledge. They didn't just make a mistake. They made a calculated choice. Every month for 17 years, they contributed to my 529 plan. They watched it grow. They showed me statements promising it would be there for college. Then, when Vanessa decided she needed cosmetic surgery, they looked at that $187,000 and decided her appearance was more important than my education. They didn't ask me. They didn't tell me. They just took it. And when I found out, they didn't apologize. They justified it. Vanessa needed it more. You're smart enough to succeed without the fund. Stop being dramatic. Even now, their apologies focus on wanting me back in their lives, not on acknowledging what they did was wrong. Dad's message didn't say, "We're sorry we stole your college fund." It said, "We made mistakes and you should forgive." There's a difference. But here's what they don't understand. They didn't just spend my college money. They told me explicitly that Vanessa's appearance was worth more than my education, that her modeling career, which never materialized into anything significant, was a better investment than my academic future. They valued her face over my mind, her potential Instagram likes over my potential PhD, her cosmetic confidence over my financial security. That's not a mistake. That's a statement of values. Vanessa and I don't speak. She thinks I ruined our parents' lives by making them pay for something they had a right to spend. She's working retail now, by the way. The modeling career never happened. Turns out plastic surgery doesn't create talent or work ethic. She's beautiful, but beauty without drive doesn't go far. I think about that sometimes. How my parents spent $187,000 betting on Vanessa's looks, while I built my future on my brain. Which investment paid off? Mrs. Morrison became a mentor. We have coffee occasionally. She tells me about other students she's helped who've been financially exploited by family. "It happens more than you'd think," she said recently. Parents who see their children's college funds as family money, who raid them for siblings, for business ventures, for their own expenses. Kids trust that the money will be there, and then it's gone. How many report it? Most don't. They feel too guilty. They don't want to destroy the family. So they take on debt and suffer in silence while their parents face no consequences. I'm glad I didn't do that. Me too. You deserve justice. Here's what I've learned. Some parents see their children as investments with different expected returns. They'll fund one child's superficial enhancements while making another child fund their own essential needs. My parents looked at Vanessa and saw beauty that could be perfected. They looked at me and saw competence that didn't need help. So they gave Vanessa my money and told me to take out loans. They saw her as fragile and me as strong. But really, they just valued her more. If you're watching this and you're supposed to have a college fund, check it. Ask to see statements. Verify the balance. Don't wait until financial aid time to discover it's been raided. And if you discover your parents spent your education money on something else, a sibling's expenses, a business venture, their own wants, don't let guilt keep you from seeking accountability. That money was designated for you. If they took it for other purposes, especially from a tax-advantaged account like a 529, they may have committed fraud. Financial aid offices can help. The IRS can help. Lawyers can help. You're not destroying the family by seeking what was yours. They destroyed trust by taking it. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you dealt with parents who spent money designated for you on other things? How did you handle it? What would you tell others in similar situations? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And remember, you deserve the resources that were promised to you. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for expecting what was yours. I'm Natalie Bennett. I'm 24 years old. My parents spent my $187,000 college fund on my sister's plastic surgery and told me to take out loans. An admissions officer caught the fraud, the IRS made them pay penalties, and a judge made them compensate me. Vanessa got a new nose. I got justice and a degree. I know which one has more lasting value. Check your college funds. Verify the money. And if it's gone, don't be afraid to ask questions. Sometimes the people asking those questions can change your life.